Welcome to Alternative Kitchen.
Hi bakers, my name is Lisa and this is Alternative Kitchen. To all my returning subscribers, thank you for tuning in, and to all my new subscribers, you're welcome to the kitchen. While it is summer in some countries, it is raining season in other countries such as Nigeria. And on cold days like this, it is good that you have a hot meal to keep you warm, which brings me to the recipe of today. Today's recipe is a hot and easy cake that you can pair with a cup of hot tea or a jug of warm milk. And for this recipe, we're going to be using an alternative method, which is using our blender. Yeah, we're going to be using our blender to make this easy peasy cake. So why don't you put on your aprons and let's get baking.
Come closer, bakers, as we make this easy cake in a blender recipe together. Ensure you prepare all your ingredients beforehand to make your baking seamless. For this recipe, we'll need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1.5 tablespoon of baking powder, 1.5 cups of milk, 1/4 of a cup of vegetable oil, 1 cup of butter, 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavor, 2 eggs. Let's start off this recipe by melting our butter. Now, bear in mind that we're not using the usual cake baking method where you have to cream your sugar and your butter together. Because we're not using that method, we have to melt our butter. And to do this, you can either boil some water and then turn it into a bowl that has a cover. Then you add your milk, your jug of milk into the water, and then scoop some butter into the milk. Or you can, after scooping your butter into your milk, you take your milk and put it in a microwave for 45 seconds to 1 minute. I'm going to pour in some more hot water just to get to the level of the milk, and then I'll cover this up and set it aside. Next, I'm going to take 2 eggs and I'm going to crack 2 eggs into my blender. Now, this is why I said you need your blender. Whether it is heavy duty blender or just a normal blender, get a blender. And into my eggs, I'm going to turn the vegetable oil, and next I'll go in with my sugar. And once I've added my sugar, I'm going to add my vanilla flavor. Alternatively, you can use any other flavor of your choice, but I'm using vanilla flavor. Once I'm done adding my vanilla extract, I'm going to cover this up and allow it to blend for 3 to 5 minutes. Allowing it blend is the way to mix it. Now, instead of creaming it with your hand or a mixer, you're going to use your blender. And once that is done blending, I'm going to open it and then turn in my flour little by little. So you just want to add a little of the flour and then you cover it up and then you blend. Blend for another 2 minutes and then turn it off. Once it's off, you add a little more flour, and after adding all your flour, you can add a little more or you can add everything at once. And once you've added it, then you go in with your baking powder and a pinch of salt, and then you add your already melted butter and milk mixture into the blender. Just pour a little of it in, stir this up and cover to blend. Once it has blended for about 2 minutes, you turn it off and then you add the remaining butter and milk mixture. Once you've added it, just stir this up with a spoon or a spatula just to get everything properly mixed. You don't want anything hooking to the blades of your blender, and then you cover it up and you blend again. Blend for about 5 minutes and then turn it off. You can alternatively turn it on and off at 2 minutes interval if your blender overheats. And now you can see how fluffy the cake is. I'm going to open my blender and turn this out. Just look at how fluffy this cake batter is. And then I'm going to scoop every extra. You know, the Nigerian in me will never allow any extra waste. So I'm going to, with a washed hand, I'm going to scoop every bit of extra cake batter in the blender, and I'll add it in. And then going in with a little spatula, I'm going to turn this and mix this to make sure that there is nowhere that escaped mixing. And once I'm done, into a very greased pan with butter and flour, I'm going to turn in my cake batter. This is the consistency you want. You want it to be running. Now, if at any point while you are mixing, you discover that your batter is too light, you can always add more flour. And now this is ready for the oven. into a preheated oven. Just put your cake and allow it to bake for 15 minutes before you check with a skewer. Now, whenever you want to check your cake with a skewer, ensure that you reduce the heat so that the heat doesn't burn your hand. And now it is ready. My skewer came out clean, and so that means my cake is ready. So I'm going to turn this over so that you can see it. Just check out how perfectly baked this cake is. Now you can either line your pan with the butter and flour method, or you can use some parchment paper. I'm out of parchment paper and I had to use the butter and the flour method. Now for some dressing, take your icing sugar and lightly dust a coat of icing sugar on top of your cake. Now you can make this a light dusting or a heavy dusting, depends on how sweet your tooth is. If you have a sweet tooth, just make it a heavy dusting. If you do not, a light dusting will be okay. And I'm going to top this with some cherry because everything is better with cherry on top. And onto my cherry, I'm going to dust some more sugar just to coat all my cherries. Now I'm going to cut my cake just for you to see how very fluffy and soft this is. So easy to cut through, and a perfect slice for a cup of hot tea or a jug of warm milk. Trust me guys, this cake tasted like heaven. Just take a look at this smooth, fluffy and soft cake. And there you have it. That's how to bake this easy cake in a blender.
And that is how you make the easiest cake for such a rainy, cold day. Are you going to be trying this recipe? If you do, remember to comment below or tag me on Instagram and on Facebook with pictures of your own cake. See, I've been getting all your pictures and your videos, and I really appreciate you guys. So keep them coming. If you do try this recipe out, remember that you can always put different dressings on your cake. Whatever it is, just feel free to explore, okay? And until I come your way next time with another amazing recipe, this is Alternative Kitchen, and my name is Lisa. Bye.